So Let me remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta altruistic motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva discourse on the perfection of joyful effort or enthusiasm. So where we left off in this guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, or Bodhisattva Chart Avatar by Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva, we laid out some of the major outlines. And so in one of them, we said, it is important for us to be able to identify or recognize different forms of laziness in order to counteract them by cultivating joyful effort or enthusiasm.
Nyumle deve rajamata dele dele ni la shibala so shun zong la. Tedala dene nyumle jile lo ma jo me be le lo me shishi jile she jo rabo de nyo jo jo ro she bo she bo was. O de dal de ga zong zhu mi de le lo gu zi. Le lo se ade kandre sen da mi de jo de kandre o de se ade da. Odita lelo gunzi de karese na kundules momba kundu se adinde momba koma se ajero wate kada semsun junga nam sha digedi momba ko nil mazu shin tide jevo yomarwa simjung dugange be shile de senyi de changa da kanga momba ko ma do shil shin oma paji de kala kala simjung dige be ban she yomar se da simjung di gunzi de jena momba ko da ko ro shati momba kundile no didal karese de kundile dal lelo se karese na lelo ka yede nyewa da chube dewale denes demu ko char dobe sim mejowa de gevecho joe parje du pardu jebe lejeno si she lejeno she batar nyewa so da ngoma shene gewale mejowa o de karese nyewa da nyewa nyeju ka o zego ba de ni ji wo ai mai re chang ja de nie da zhou zhou de me de da nie shi ni ya je ro de ji se wo da nie ba zi ba sa lo ya de可是被得到是被旁边先的呀这时候是吧这些因为nie ba的吃吧嘞我的那个da那个的话吃不是我的店里是店不个啥的我看的是呢그 자와도 투자도 그 데모게 용거리 시거다. 데모게 차도 무조와데 무조세는 예외를 무조리. 예외 초라 조에 파디셔바 세베 레제노 쉐바탈 예와라 소라 모바셰네세 예와를 무조스 오테다 거사 예와다 예야가도 예야티제你这个嘛的，讲讲你也是意思的，你也是的，把啥了的也听着是吧？我直接去的是，就那么康中，我就是的呀，这里也搞不些的下的时候，再看些，因为可是啥，因为就把给我知道的跑就把这些，也是些把的是，我到这个是，我路上的贴补，基本是个康中么是些相当。any gas or Zungumara gas or Sansa Jung Lunga is Jung Jish Zong or Drebdo or Diligence or yes. So here are 10 years or Moma here and Gawal Measure was what is that? Is negative the Okaje, Saje the Nega de was in the Shani. And it poked the Dalia. So what did she is Simjilin disorders. Karsa, Lilo, Didero. Lilo.
So we're on page 86, chapter 7 on joyful effort of this English translation by Stephen Batchelors. As Geshe read from the extensive commentary and explained, so it's important for us to understand and recognize what is laziness. Laziness is just the opposite of junju, joyful effort or enthusiasm. And so in the Abhidhamma Samukcha, the compendium of knowledge, it is explained, as Geshe said, that when we are interested to learn about mind, different types of mental factors, and try to recognize every one of them, their functions, their interactions, then we have to study treasure of knowledge and compendium of knowledge. These are called different lower and higher system of Abhidharma or knowledge. Because the explanation of mind, its mental factors and functions are really not explained in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, Pranjana Paramita, or not even in the Madhyamik or the Middle Way treatises. So in the compendium of knowledge, Abhidhamma Samukcha, it is explained that laziness, is kind of grounded in, or is a part of what we call close-mindedness, literally translating timuk. In the other word is ignorance. Okay, so laziness is grounded in ignorance, and so laziness arises when we are attached to, like say sleeping, lying down and don't feel like doing anything, and just kind of enjoying the pleasure of doing nothing. Like, although we mentioned sleep, but that also includes you don't have to fall asleep. You're just simply lying down and being, careless and don't really care about much. So that's also, laziness, and it disrupts, virtue or doing something positive. So it's an interruption to doing something positive. So, of course, therefore, it causes decline in virtues. It is a mental factor that does not take joy or delight in doing anything positive. So laziness is, not joyful in doing anything positive, right? It just likes to do nothing. So being attached to what we call, contaminated, happiness or pleasures and activities, like such as, taking a nap, whether you really need it or not, and just lying down and, don't feel like, because doing positive requires some kind of attention to an effort, right? Because you have to concentrate, you might have to make effort. So laziness doesn't like that, right? It's like, okay, let me not do anything. So that kind of, a state of mind. So which means really laziness makes us, so to speak, prefer, enjoying what is just temporary and transient here and now, and doesn't want to pursue long-term goals, such as, finding, spiritual realizations, or anything like that. So that's basically how laziness is defined. It's a mental factor. It doesn't take joy or delight in doing something positive. It acts, matter of fact, it's a disruption or interruption to doing something positive, and it causes decline in virtues.
Oh, dear, that could go to this. That could later the court you can leg the courage this year. This Lini gets your time, number Chevy. She was the code, she was the Rossi. The doll this door, call Lila, or the show me what you see. Said the Lila unit and the shoes on you, Marcia. The current wood over the regime. Shulu Kalun Zumas and Shino, they tell ya the ones in the regime. She lays your Simpsons, yes, some race. And the court that she later Karazana, or they lot yourself should tell in the Geshe Phuntsok Gyeltsen real made the Geshe part of the laziness. The Geshe devoted from which could she lay or dignity.
So we can look at lelo, is the Tibetan word for laziness. What is its nature? Its nature, it is a mental factor that does not take joy or delight in doing anything positive. Yeah. And it is a part of ignorance, or it is closely related to ignorance, grounded in ignorance. Then what does it do from functional perspective? Well, what is function? Its function is, to interrupt doing something positive. It causes decline in virtues doing something positive. As I just explained, if laziness arises within us and kind of overtakes us, then really we don't feel like doing anything at all, isn't it? Especially positive things. That's why in a sutra, as Geshe quoted, he who has a laziness, will not have, any virtuous qualities. So laziness prevents us from pursuing and cultivate, positive qualities. So what brings laziness in us? What are its causes? In the Precious Garland by great Arya Nagarjuna, which is called Ratnavali, it's mentioned that laziness is caused by our lack of interest in doing something positive and virtuous. Laziness is caused by attachment to lying down and feeling like doing nothing and enjoying that pleasure, whatever the pleasure arises out of doing nothing, being indolent, just kind of couch potato. Or laziness cause also include not simply lying down, but also keeping ourselves sort of busy in mundane, affairs of things. Because to practice something, right? For example, we need to sit properly, right? And sitting properly is kind of is a burden, isn't it? Laziness feels like doing practice, sitting properly, and engaging in practice is a burden. It's not a joy, And so you don't want to take burden. You would rather like to lie down, whatever way you want to lie down, or any other unruly behaviors. So basically, it arises out of our, attachment to less important, activities and things like that.
코아지시라고 님이다. 이니 데 시동 그 님이다. 시다도 년송의 등에서 딱 년송 등에 현장에서 제가 녀와도 이다세야 다 돈저세야 되게 되지 마고 여러들 다 가서 녀와도 이다서 미세기 냥중도 그 주고요 말아. 돈저도 그네도 돈저디는 능의 중계도 돈저 시다도 다 양은지서 가서 배고송 또 걸어. 그래서 딸이 녀와도 이다 맞았나. 돈저 등에 삼았잖아. 간주 기술자 돼야 돼 여러. 그때 뒤져 삼았던 아주 랑준이 시에 코아지시다 님이 삼았던 거. 다대체서 심에 등에도 제는 등에도 제약 삼을 거 세상을 걸다 최시야 되거라. 최시야 돼서는 저주서 그러와. 그래서 어떻게 삼고래서 그러다.
At the bottom of page 86, stanza number 3 reads, because of attachment to the pleasurable taste of idleness, because of craving for sleep, and because of having no disillusion with the misery of cyclic existence or samsara, laziness grows very strong. So Geshe-la's explanation pertains to that stanza. And as Geshe explained, that, among the reasons why, or the causes of laziness, is that when we are unafraid of the suffering or the suffering nature of samsara, then we really don't feel the need to interested in doing anything positive to get out of samsara, isn't it? And so to counteract laziness, it's important, as we talked about this extensively in the context of lumbering, teaching and practice, stages of path leading enlightenment, we reflect on the suffering nature of samsara in general, and the suffering of, particular sufferings of the 3 unfortunate states of rebirth. So when we think about this suffering, how much suffering exists in samsara, and we know that we don't like any of this suffering. And so therefore, when we don't like suffering, then we said, okay, what can I do to prevent suffering arising or to stop suffering for good? And so we wish to put an end to suffering or, see the end of suffering. And this is where we realize that Dharma is the solution, right, to all of this thinking. So now we said, okay, now I need to study and cultivate practice, right? So this is how we develop joyful, joy in doing something positive. But if we don't think about the suffering nature of samsara and that of Geshe says, it's for us, to understand the suffering of hell beings and hungry ghosts, right, based upon our observation and experiences, because we don't see them here. But at least we have access to the suffering of animals, right? Animals of all kinds. And so if you can simply think about and try to empathize with the suffering of animals, I think that empathy or the understanding, deep understanding, will help us to cultivate aversion to samsaric suffering, And so that way we are able to counteract, laziness, disinterest in doing something positive, and just, enjoy doing nothing, enjoying being a couch potato, the bliss of being a couch potato, Yeah.
어디 다디 거에 등에서 이제 삼았다 제가 주주의 메타바세야 무슨 시와 메타바세야 돼요. 나한테서 제가 메타바세야 참고 계시고 메타바데 말이 거의 시도야 거의 매어래도 하시어로 어디서 메타바세 시월로 제가 가끔 라마도 용들에도와 누가 건다도 이 행동이 얘가잖니 야마베도 누가 더控制되는 근데 제가 샤오다 마통사데 야 로야 유명하고 말이야 야 로야 맨날 그 제마시 그거 가야 말아 이제 레지 야저 양쪽으로 말았는데 야마 통하면 제마시 무슨 이제 누가 그 힘 터자 되게 맞게 메타볼 그때 이제 레저를 쓰고 라
라마 수수베
lama kadam giri, lama dire mamoya no dire she the sham da yo tena in here dire da she the khashir zain samoji khorongurwa in she the that demi do go in minister request demi do go she chi jawale ko she ta ko khade request long de ga chi chong de in da she ni khwache haguma chi ngam da she ne in she ni yeson ken sa ne dire shan she 인지 매직비 걸사 미다바디 동보치를 꾸지에 파츠 용스도 보시야 타기 리부터나 미다가 고고 미다바디 가동라마도 뱅가고 효도 쇼 미다바디 사벨로디 히비 지고리스 어디 지고리 걸사 제는 애니 코에니즈 하고 그리스 코에니즈 하고는 이제 어쩌셔야 되고 어디 지금이라 게이테 지서송데 가르사 나 시wen제는 나 릴리지어스 쇼미다가 시엔데 릴리지어 인식을 다 거지 에 가르사 남징에메 삼삼니스 릴리지어 삼아 카르다게스 다 남징에메 삼 가르 디디 시기레 디디 데가 디더스 히아요 말티다 남징에메 삼삼제도 in koe ni du de ha ko sons se da ta ti be sho yang ta ba yin shu sa ba ya bo che ris se da nam ji yi me sa sa ni me da koe ni me she se koe ni du she sos da sho chu nga nyam nga me se da koe ni du ya bo che da ni lang do chu shi de she de che de da da in hi na ya je go ko sha shi me shi na 니도자 더고요 말아. 세다 다셔 주는 냥가면서 하면서 이래야 말이 그 냥스 무슨 다음에 필요하 그래서 어디로 들어왔다.
According to our lineage gurus or the masters, one of the most powerful antidotes to, to prevent and to counteract laziness is to reflect on the, death and dying as an impermanence. Not impermanence in the sense of momentary disintegration. That's so subtle. But we know that everything that's produced as born will end or die, right, eventually. And so when we reflect on, the death and impermanence, then, it will really exhort us. It will encourage and it will exhort and instigate us to engage in, study and practice of Dharma. And many great Kadamba Geshe masters, who after they have studied extensively, and then they dedicate themselves into practice in meditation caves, And so there are many stories like that. I think Kadamba Geshe, right, when, he need to come out of his cave once in a while, right? But there was a kind of a plant or a tree or leaf blocking his way, and it caught on his robe, right? So he thought, oh, I need to really trim this one, Yeah. And then he remembered, like, well, I really am not sure, why I'm so bothered by having to trim this, right? I'm out here. Perhaps I'm not sure I can go back, right, to continue my meditation. Life is so impermanent. And then he just forget trimming the tree. Then he go in. Then next time he came out, oh, I need to trim. Then he said, no, I don't know. I went in. I may not have a chance to come out. Or if I'm out, I may not have a chance to go in. So why am I so bothered about need to trim this thing? If I die, so, what purpose it serves to trim this, a tree or a plant? So this is how they are very, much aware of death and life is impermanent, and that really keeps them so joyful and dedicated to their practice, And so when we think about death, and we are kind of convinced that yes, I will die, And then when we said, I don't know. That's even more scary. The time of death is uncertain. We all know that death will come. There's no mystery about that. But the time of death is so uncertain And so we said, okay, then if it comes now, is that with the end of the storyline? No, something continues, isn't it? So I have to be reborn. And then do I know where I will be reborn? But I really don't know, And so there are these unfortunate states of rebirth. If I am reborn there, then it's going to be much more tragic situations, and I don't like to be there. And so therefore, I really need to I must, right, to prevent my rebirth in the bad migrations. And as a matter of fact, I don't like to come back to samsara over and again, And so this is how, as you think about these things, you process, life as impermanent death, then it really helps us to feel so inspired, right, and motivated to engage in, practice. So great Milarepa, Tibet's 11th century yogi, he said that I contemplated the death and impermanence, and then I decided to go into the mountain caves, Then in the mountain caves, I really reflected on the uncertainty of time of death. It could literally come anytime, So thinking about that, then I really started to gain insight into the suffering nature of samsara. Samsara is fraught with suffering, So then I said, okay, samsara, I need to cultivate aversion to samsara. I need to renounce samsara for good. And so now I practice it so sincerely that I have developed the confidence, if the death comes anytime, right, I'm not worried at all, because why? Because Milarepa knows that, he's not going to be reborn in bad migrations or anything like that, because he dedicated himself into practice whole life, So he said, so, I'm feeling very confident in my own practice, and death can come anytime. So it's welcome now, right, anytime. So this is how, from the life stories of great masters, we can learn lessons, And as many of our gurus have said, that in the beginning, meditating on death as impermanence of life is a great motivator, right, to engage in study and practice Dharma. So while we are in study and practice of Dharma, this awareness of death is a great way to maintain our practice, to persist in our practice and to complete our practice, not to drop the ball halfway down, right? We're going to bring it to fruition. But when we enjoy the fruit, when we actually accomplish a result, still that awareness of death, it really kind of stand by us, so to speak. It's very helpful. So that's why that awareness of death is useful at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. And so it's a very powerful antidote to prevent laziness and to counteract laziness.
我的可是他，就现在我的，这些没到吧的可以写出印象的，他的可是，这些嘛的送去的多可是。没大觉了嘛，这能上万对吧？没少东西。千万没到嘛，这那那别上万对吧？娘们是个是了呢，那过你把同学嘛是。那没大觉里这个那讲的就是啥吧？也是的咋了？千万没到吧？这边男性因为的要我手上呢，讲的这些呢，这边那考这就是要我直接头我认识。我手头现在没到吧？可以去做，但没到这地方是那么的。 他这一周的到了，各式就是说，这个人可以嘛的，可是看了没有人主要或结果，他可能刚给，别说当给那生意弄给人家比较嘛是看着那边是，可能没有人这个是没得心的嘛是，所以过去都是这个了，都跟人过来的这个，我这个是看的。
So many of our great masters have really brought our attention to cultivate the awareness of death. That is very important, how should I say, awareness. And as Geshe quoted from his memory, which is very profound and succinct in Tibetan language, but when I try to translate it, I don't know how much it really stays that way. So it's saying that if we don't have the true awareness, that's kind of a transformative awareness of death and impermanence of life, even the Guya Samatha practice is not going to be profound. Okay. But if we truly have the transformative awareness of the death, even the 3-word refuge practice is going to be very profound, isn't it? So that tells a lot, right? The Guya Samatha is an amazing practice, but because if we are not qualified and not doing properly, it's not going to be very effective practice. So have that transformative awareness of death as impermanence is very important, so that our Guya Samatha practice will be profound. On the other hand, if we have that kind of a deep experience, even say I go for refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, seems so simple, it becomes a very profound practice. So this is how a realization of impermanence. Here, impermanence is, everybody knows that, right? We're not talking about, as monks debate in the debate courtyard, what's impermanence? Everything that integrates moment to moment. Okay, what's that? Like, we're not talking about that. Like, whether you have studied Dharma or you are educated or not, you ask anybody, like, are you going to die someday? Everybody knows, yeah, I will die someday. Nobody said, like, I'm going to live forever, right? So we're talking about that impermanence. So everybody knows we will die one day, right? We all agree with that. So now the more important is when. The time of death is uncertain. So that should keep us on the edge, right? So because it could be anytime now, it might be not for a while. So it keeps us on the edge and be inspired to do our practice. Yes.
Oh, this does cause Lilo Goya, Tabiro, the Dasha Medavasama, so did Shaw Medava Chanson in a Jawa Shimal, Pitan Mama Shaw, country to some go to the Timariza Javalea, the Lindel, the Chimado, consumer Mara, or this out on any longer share they will want to go. This is the Shiva Medava Zoo in Sati. The Launi Shimona Ganga do the Chibari, Hawaii in the Shiva Medava show go to a dowdy. Kushimagona, those days in the Shushigua Museum. This one. She was a quota that the neck of some poke somewhere is the miss on the miss at the Licarsa, this were monishes. New days, miss at the neck of Kagu Demon Ganga needed to hang a lot and there was zero. Or said the thing and Shigota to just pay puzzle was certified in the Kaka Jimara. Cut to Chotoya Daji, Nazashun, Nazatangi, Shoto, Hagur, Mother, and Kaka, she has said, the Basia, sure said, Yomara. For since she said, he died near down to the Tanosu, near down by Tenjo del Bay, Yago, Carson, see you get of she, but did they cover the Stagate? In that said, Bumio, she said, the bay, Namsing in Simultan, did they say Joshi, some of the quarter. Sir George was so good, so do you have Zangara? It's a reason I never said, Mayor Shartse. But says that this is somebody, so did I get you?
So in the context of Lamrim study and practice, Stage of the Path, Enlightenment treatises, so we really extensively focus on, the importance of and the need to cultivate that transformative awareness of death and impermanence of life. If we have that, that's, as a matter of fact, it's like the starting point of the Dharma. If you really feel that, then we will be motivated to pursue Dharma, as Geshe explained before. Right? We all know we will die one day, right? So we ask that, okay, if everybody's going to die, will that be the end of the storyline? Or something still continues, right? Then we know we have to be reborn. Okay, and because our life is not like a butter lamp. When the butter lamp, the butter, is consumed already, then that flame will die, right? The flame doesn't go into some other lifetime. Our life is not that. Our life is not a butter lamp. It continues, And then if it continues, it says, so what's going to determine our next rebirth? Law of karma, isn't it? Right? And so we realize that do good, have good, do bad, have bad. So karma is going to determine what kind of, rebirth we will have. So that gives us the practice now, right? Okay, so now I have a practice of abandonment and cultivation. Okay, I need to stop and abandon negativities. I need to adopt and cultivate and pursue positive actions, right? So now we have the practice based upon the law of karma. And so based upon those actions, we will experience results accordingly in the future. So in the Sanskrit word, for what called human beings, it's called manusya. So there's a sense of that humans have, as compared to other forms of life, we have the special ability or the intellect to be able to think about the past, present, and future and plan accordingly, isn't it? Other animals, it's very hard. We think about our like cows and domestic animals. If they are hungry, they will look for a food, okay? And then if they get hurt, then feel the pain. But they have no ability to plan, okay, tomorrow what I want to eat, okay? And where should I find the food? Okay, I have to leave another. They have no such ability to plan for the future. They're very immediate, here and now, isn't it? But whereas we human beings, we could think about the past, present, and future and plan accordingly. And so as we reflect on how fortunate we are that we have this fully endowed human form with the potentiality to accomplish anything we want, right? So this is a very precious life. And we know it is very precious, meaningful, rare, and we are so fortunate to have it, but it could, we could lose it very easily, right? That the time of death is uncertain, And so when we think about the time of death uncertain, then we feel the sense of urgency that if I don't have much time now, I have this wonderful life, meaningful life, but if I'm not going to live too long, I don't know, then I must do what I can, right? In the given time. So this is how we feel the need to very decisive about engaging in practice and doing it very qualitatively, isn't it? And if we live longer, we have more time to do. And in case we don't have, we did what we could, right? So this is how the death awareness is a very powerful one. And our gurus have stressed that a lot in the context of, the Lamrim teaching. So this is how we feel the need to engage in Dharma, and then we feel that we are able to develop that joy, enthusiasm in practicing Dharma. And so when enthusiasm arises, joy arises in our mind, then there is no space for laziness, right? Laziness cannot come or arise.
Oh, that Lilo Korango, that the Lilo Korango to the Resi, and called Chile de Cadesios, Chile de Resios, and Gavasa do Maris. Or this Dako Gelu get the Cadesin or the Nega de Artic, Pinole, the Casumsel, the Casumazum, Lunga is not telling any page shadow is. So that is called Lilo Korango, the Vishe, Kotea, Geshe. Geshe in the Goya of Delta, Shaw Metaba Zushen. And Shaw Metaba said, and she said, and it's called Geshe doing that, or do something, do something. In the little young Maris, didn't do Tagris, that the Doctor Timothy.
So let me summarize the key points that, that we have already dealt with. So we talk about what is laziness, what is its nature. So we said it is a mental factor that is closely linked to ignorance, it's grounded in ignorance. And so what does it do? So it doesn't, it prevents us from being interested in doing anything virtue. It causes decline in, virtues. That looks like its function, And so laziness can be brought by many different causes, right? When we attach to what we call, frivolous things, we attach to being, doing nothing, being a couch potato, and whatever bliss arises out of that. So we enjoy that bliss, right? The bliss of doing nothing. And so that prevents us from, engaging in, virtue and positive actions. And then other things like being, attached to sleeping, lying down, and all of that, being distracted. And so what can we do to counteract it? Among many antidotes, a very powerful one is that we need to reflect on death and impermanence of life. When that really, we feel that in our gut level, so to speak, and being very acutely aware of that, then we could prevent laziness, right? And then that kind of transformative awareness could only arise if we reflect on the suffering nature of samsara, right? Suffering in general, and the particular sufferings of the bad migrations. So when we think about this thing, then we know we have no time for laziness, and samsara is not a happy situation to be in, so it's better to get out of it. So to get out of it, now we said, what do I need to do? So we get interested in virtue and practice. And so when we are interested and joyful doing that, then the laziness is out of the way, right? Laziness cannot arise. So that's in a nutshell the main points that we talk about.
용자 탄예시는 다 녀게 해야죠 말이야. 구자장에서도 어쩌는 뭐만 지금 못 봤어요. 제가 구자장에서도 이해해서就是인디레시네 그 내가 가야 신식에 가야 하면 어디 있어요. 但你们店了解总理想是想写说的多了的种多，可以么的也了解着是，因为不管的有的是都怕你去年的是这些，但你也搞不起我这没得了，因为这了解总理想现在我了有嘛些总理想路的是，现在他这个讲了解有着的，我这不管你的呢，我这些。不管是我纽约这些，你这个也好过是吧？我这些不是，我这意思的，他，某的也，但是就现在吧，他等于的现在教他没些你某的呢，因为你了教啊，他你某是有的鸟生他是他在年过是还是刚刚看了我是吧？我就说。
So in a sutra, it's mentioned that among many causes of laziness, the two which are highlighted more are, attachment to the bliss or the taste of idleness, right? Not feeling to do anything, kind of being sluggish and, enjoying that sluggishness, and craving for sleep, right? How we should say, I think I should nap now, right? So that kind of pleasure of just taking a nap or just lying down and, being inactive, right? So enjoying the pleasure or the taste of inactiveness, doing nothing. So those are the main causes of laziness.
对的，你把这点崩水节，你不写个说不写。뇽레세 빌레로 니보금수 샤와기 시지레로 니보금수 길로길레로 니보금수 셰바오스 어데다다 사지르데다다 레로세 에니코케 규셰 디레강가 군지셰 셰사데다 타고 뭐야 탑시르 간데레스 뭐야 탑이 소소소도 어데레스 데사지 송도 가르세는 somse nyolebe lelo bonjour nyolebe sena taase be khajo mo chebo khajo mo jene ji lo le dra de nyolebe sigoro ji tele khajo nyebo khajo chekje ene ji lo gi nyebo bonjour ji lo wasna de kharsa to shego some ladder to the gilu was it. She trimaji sanima gilu was it. Because Shawagi or the electric did Shawagi says it is that Shaw my magic. There are so that was Legata the Toda Yela Gosia, she had a tell go to the gear, says you were there Shawagi Shensi or what? The Gumzi, Gilu was it is on the Tradition Madaje. There does 所以呢，结果是把养着的说是嘛的，一路是呢，新年忙的都来着的呀，我的啥就说不过呢，那我也不听是不是？
So we talked about what laziness is, what does it do, what brings laziness, and talk a little bit about how to prevent or overcome laziness. So now the extensive commentary kind of lays out, three outlines. Basically, we will deal with or the antidotes to each of the three types of laziness. The first one is the laziness of indolence or idleness. The way Geshe explained is like feeling like doing nothing. I think that I like the couch potato one. So the laziness of couch potato-ness, there's a new word. So antidote to that. And the second one is the laziness of, attached to, I usually say, frivolous activities. People call it bad activities, but frivolous meaning that, that our life becomes so busy with doing so many little things and the minor things, right? That's not of much importance in the scheme of larger things. But anyway, that takes all our energy and everything, right? So that kind of laziness, So we will talk about antidote to deal with that kind of laziness of being attached to frivolous activities. Seems like very active, actually, but then it's laziness. The third form of laziness is the laziness of procrastination. We feel like, okay, I'll do later, I'll do tomorrow, and I'll do maybe day after tomorrow. And so we just keep on pushing it some later time, and we never get to do it. So we will deal with, right, antidotes to every one of these forms of laziness.
어디 가서 이 섬지다 일을 소모 당번에 유모자래서 대야 과리 좋아지게 쉐디스 세대 메다부 출을 상대세 요리 일을 봉화라스다 요리를 해야 그래서 처음에다 성구식도 예버치 주배도 제바네 냐다 르다소세 야나도 쓰네세 야바 원고만난지세 세바터 릴로라서베 유모바 야바도 도난지세 쇼르힌 고드 온도 세네네 레미디시 케바 냐베 세버 인조 조이스 케베 자네 쇼메드 최와 주네 시다 신세 칸네 송아 줘봐도 저에세 내가 됐다고 저와 이제디 더도 심지어지 메시섬데 섬 메시섬데세 섬 메시섬제 섬디제 편지 예바 쉬어리 만디베 쉬어를 다더니 뇨디 베고시 랑르고 워스 영시 데이터 데이터 거기 전에 유무 자시 들들봐 so they are called Joyous with two some go river never shiver to pay the Jewan Sabbath but the Nya the Rasa Danya singing Yavachi Rida singing Rida show Mombats or the in the gas and the need Rida Juyaki and needs or gas girl and the chuck good to cover this way. Javano Momananjes, Subatars, the Gatin, Subanajing, in the Lord dish of the leg of Basani, the Gyeltsen, Chimang is over them ever Pingo, was you this way. Nanji, sure you go there on the Shani. Reduce Gavanian, the Sivanian, the jaw, reduce the my young George Jolly at the retail Basura. Journey, should me do sure journeys. Geshe Gyeltsen Jolly gas doing the Sinjuya, the need of the Jassigra or Tina June, bed Thomas about Chora Mevasina, Jati Taya Meva, Petemos had the short music. No, the short music. Losa shows Yomas this Yatonto Marisiatri. No, the short music. The Chuba young, Jide, Tadum, 甚至于没些什么，我的确是要，因为他的被浪多站的嘛，就是没个现在啥的，嗯，叫什么嘛，性质的了，因有时候你也知道的，什么的这样的这个的，被这样的，就是他的生活苦闷的也是，我说被鬼嘛就当下去了嘛，我这是我的，他都没有过些，希望些的是可是。就是确实没些什么的，这些人也不喜欢是嘛，做了嘛的，做的你了，第次第一呢，是不是的是，其实有的两都没动的，对不对？这个人偏偏去了，他的那个的，没有过些，过些人过，我是说的过的，他可是没有过不开嘛的，他，却他那边说在去了站嘛的，他都那个没事。小没大把的带的好这些的，现在的年少的偏给的，信息基本讲话是伢的，这些我那些的，特别老三的学习没事，可是说理啊，你贵啊贵嘛当然吃起来多，现在我说差不多的贵股的生活的。
So the first laziness that we will deal with is the laziness of indolence or idleness or laziness of couch potato-ness. So the stanza 4 on top of page 87 reads, enmeshed in the snare of disturbing conceptions, meaning delusions, I have entered the snare of birth. Why am I still not aware that I live in the mouth of the Lord of Death? Unquote. So Geshe-la's explanation pertains to that. So here, basically, every one of ourselves, we are telling ourselves, right? Nobody is telling us, right, what to do or not. So this is like a self-exaltation, right? And so we are basically telling ourselves, we said, I have been caught up in this whole snare of afflictive emotions, and under their influence, right, I have already taken rebirth. Right? I'm already born, isn't it? So now what's left is death. I'm already born, and then under their influence, that I keep on creating a lot of negativities, unwholesome actions, and so death will surely come. That's not a mystery, right? We all agreed with that. And so once I die, all these negativities will precipitate my rebirth, even in more suffering states, like the bad migrations, So this is all about me, nobody else, isn't it? So why don't I see it, And how can I live like I'm not going to die, right? As metaphorically speaking, I'm in the mouth of the Lord of Death, the Yama, the mouth. So, one day I will die. And so when I die, then the next rebirth will be determined by karmas. And the karmas I have accumulated mostly under the influence of delusions and negativities. So it's going to be more suffering, which I don't want. So how could I stay lazy, if I think about my own welfare or well-being, and how dare I live like I'm never going to die? So basically, we are kind of telling ourselves, right, that being couch potato is not a really a good way. This is like examples are like, the fish caught on the back of the fisherman's hook, isn't it? So it's kind of miserable, or that hunters have put their traps. Now animals got trapped in those things. So, and so there's no really happiness and peace there. So like that, we are trapped in samsara by our own afflictive emotions. And under the influence, we're creating a lot of negativities. And then, we are already born in samsara, and now death will come, and then we will go round and around in samsara. We're really trapped in samsara, no way out. Okay? So how can I keep on doing this? So we are basically telling ourselves, so I really need to reflect on the death and impermanence of life, and so that I know what to do, right? Do positive things so that I will be able to prevent rebirth in bad migrations, and then also find a way out of samsara. So basically, this is a self-motivational talk or self-exaltation, action here.
this is young Chida Carnicia to Mangar Song Shuwa, the Chijang, George, Chidi Tadu Messi, some Shijang, Shijang Shogos, the much Chida can do this, in Yeman, Sinjatani do, or Tandan do this, Mongoban do, Yeman do, 3 young Joyous Saladisha. Shantideva denule, Chiwa Simotavu Mesede, Dadi Jegunangi, Shishin Jung, Doggira de Nen and Roye, Hang Besed Malu, 7 Jurs, or Terehada, Shantideva denule, Chiwa Simotavu Mesede, Simosadil, usually Simulidis and the dog is the aura. Could Namju of young Mongo go on a cable, he would this was Simulidis.
I don't know.
Simo Nekarsa, this is a denule, silver. Shows a denule. Chiwa Simotavu Mesete, Dadi Jegunangi, shaking drums. Dadi got a sort of jewel for Lude Tremachim down the race. Dog rubbed the name Joyous, dog in the rubbed name is that Susan Jones and Mase, the dog you be Chivakalma, Jawashimalba, Nancy Gorva. Shows Alcarsa, Nan and Joy, Joatas, Pombe said the Molus Evers. Goes to Pongus, that's all she should. Goes to the Jusala Social Gagal, Zimbabwe, you're this, Zashi years ago. Luso said, Zashi is the order. Or this or that. Pombe said, Molus 7 years. But Zashi said in the images years along the Saturdays. In the said that the record get this and that. Shushi Menako Nilaja Tashura, or says the Tindesan because Shaw Medava 10, but surely a good of Shivaris, but easy.
So in the extensive commentary, it's mentioned, as Geshe read and explained. So every one of ourselves, right, basically have to tell ourselves, right? Self is the audience. And we are just talking to self. That, I have been in samsara so long that I was born many times and I died many times and I haven't caught up with this vicious cycle, right? Looks like endless, And so now I'm already born and I will die. That's not a mystery. And if I've done nothing positive, then the next rebirth will be even in a more difficult situation, isn't it? The only thing that makes sense and help at the time of death is the Dharma, which we have not practice, we got distracted so much. And if you keep doing these things, then we see no end to the suffering and no way out of samsara. And so affiliate emotions are very deceptive, they have deceived us for this long. So now if we still stay under their deception, right, so then we will keep on doing the same thing over and again. But we must know that the Yama, the Lord of Death, is going to come and get us, right? There's nothing mystery about that. It's as if the Lord of Yama is chasing every sentient being, not simply chasing us, but he's very powerful, right? We cannot really stop him snatching our lives. I mean, we human beings are attached to many things, we attach to our money, wealth, the resources. But at the end of the day, among all the things, the most precious things that we attach to are our body and life, isn't it? So, but at the end, the Yama is going to snatch those things away from us, the most priceless things we cherish so much, And so before that happens, so we tell ourselves that I really now should not keep doing the same thing over and again in samsara that I have done endless times. Now I should reflect on the death and impermanence of life, and so that, I develop joy in pursuing virtue, and so I'm able to prevent bad rebirth in the next life, and I'm able to find way out of samsara, right? So this is how basically we are kind of advising ourselves or motivating ourselves to engage in virtue now.
我的写杨起给的没把我同没沉默呢，可能是的也能理解吧。天天上的人类，天天上的人类性，如是没把其他冲动着，写下来这个长话东西，我听了一下，他都说。多了个地是没包同没沉默的时候，你也的人生小的时候说，你可能今天你那你就把这人生小的兄弟，你不给其他信息看如果这些，真的这样的，真的人热心，如是没有把其他冲的主现在人天天兄弟不给阿拉这么想，俺这他。其他人阿拉是查动作时候就看到时候就时候就，他在那时候跟着我的我这跟着就我，你说讲你说的了，这个被这样搞上里面吧，你想的多的是，现在第二个就是就是没有是说，但是阿拉是谁的没有现在多的现在，我这当然给了类似的，同朋友的学过那么呢。天的兄弟，几点的大呢？咱的兄弟，连线没过完，咱线没过完，其他兄弟天呢，你要做些说噻。我的介绍的兄弟来着，他们就是说呢，那么天呢，兄弟几点的大呢？咱的兄弟，咱线没过完，咱多少？我说这当照顾呢。咱女儿你要在江浙有没有？我在江下街上我是快咱是大大块这样，我你江浙这个这个我觉得他这个我这个别也不多，兄弟兄弟有他的，咱的兄弟咱先马虎了，咱先哪儿在里面了？我你要这的这我主要这我其他这我还要嘛吧？咱哪儿在要嘛是吧？马古嘛，先说噻，其他种的，你天天要完做，我在你见着兄弟，你主要的看到可能，恐怕叫做了偏不是那些，可多少可能看到多嘛，就怕是，你这个叫这样的要么说的，我就说。
So Geshe says, in the extensive commentary, they mention a sutra which describes about, how our life is. Every moment we are walking as if towards the Lord of Death. From the moment we were conceived in the womb of the mother, right, onward, we have been going every moment towards the Lord of Death. There has never been any moment of rest here, right? That's why Geshe is chuckling over this. It's not like, how you say in life, hey, let's take a tea break, coffee break. Let's go for lunch, right? So it looks like we can take a break. But no, this one is from the moment of conception until now, there has never been a rest or relaxation here, right? No tea break or any break. We just go every moment towards the Lord of Death. And then, if we are traveling, right, sometimes we say, oops, we took the wrong way, let's go back. It can be delayed. There is no wrong way here. It's always the right way. Whatever we're doing, we're always going straight towards the Lord of Death, Yama, right? There is no delay or extension here. Like, can I get a little extension here? Like, no. This is our situation, and so when we think about this, Geshe, these are great examples, right? No tea break, no lunch break here, right? It's just no wrong way, no detouring. It is always march forward to the Yama. So this is our situation. And so before, we really get face to face with the Lord of Death, right? So we have to wake up and, we have to do our practice or the virtues. So we would like to stop there today, and we welcome your questions. Anything on the Zoom?
There's a request and a question.
Okay.
First, the request. This person would like to request prayers for her sister, Karen Daly. Karen Daly.
Oh, Daly, okay.
Who passed away this morning.
Okay. Sure. We will pray later at the end, yeah.
Okay. And now a practical question. Before one defines oneself as lazy, should we do a check to see if we have things like anemia or hypothyroidism, maybe health conditions, let's say, that make them tired for other reasons and not quote, quote, lazy?
Sure. Period on the target on the wagon. Jamju Shi Morangi Punja Pomo Karen Daly and Chong the wagon.
La.
Morangi Punja Pomish Tomboda. Dila Jamju Narona, so that is surely a teaching ba. That Tiwachi the Dirisha, that thing on the Lero Munjin to go there, Del Tonglish or Sajor wagon.
La.
Lelo de Munjin to go rest wagon. Deli Anyabo Tenja was Sungu or wagon. The Moran Sena Tango Soso Mat, that Lelo Chen Resha se Lavarke. How much I'm going to wagon? I think that's Suwin Netan your wagon. Because a young trading down Suwi Channel wagon. Jing Nuba Meabata and then Jing Yum Letter with Chadu or wagon. The day came over and social council Lelo Chem or was wagon. So that the young trading that they get all that sort of summer stamp going as a Tango Touch and Dang have a Lelo Resha wagon. Young day you're not spoken.
I'll tell you that never does it, never does it so young. Never said I don't. Stambo Miracle, Kaligana, Dorjee, Tina, Tian, so young trading Shara, did it? Was a cigar?
Intimacy did a young because that's also Lelo Lam that she was on the Chitana cigar. That's my nurse, that's something. There's also a Tata, but there's nurse stop cigar again.
Yeah, that's what they did. So died, Tigger, the Karsa Tishina. Yeah, Udu Revolution, Ele Dogor, Karsa. Now the Lenza did a second. Karsa, Jojo, Yora.
No, David.
Tamning Riga Martins. Tamning Sidu Jamrishita Jabe, Chama. And me Papa say, I do Jigo Samoko Jo Maris. So new me, some Nico Res.
No.
Harun Juniata, so new me, Nico Res, Yajuro. Or didn't get some of that. Udu is no so never in a Neuro.
So what Geshe says is that, of course, we have to take into consideration our health status or conditions. If we have anemia or any other health conditions that really makes us feel, low energy, if we push it too hard, actually it backfires, nothing works. So then we have to be very judicious, right? Take that into account and do the necessary, right? Have to take a rest and do little practice, whatever, right? Given your conditions. But here we are talking in general, like those who are, who don't have any health such conditions. And we could do practice, but then we like to be distracted, being couch potato, right? So then we said how we need to, right? If we have health condition, of course, that becomes a priority. In Buddhism, there's a lot of leeways for things like that. And so that means every individual is different, and we have to know what I need to do, right? Because my condition, And the example Geshe has given is great Shantideva mentions in this guide, Bodhisattva Way of Life, somewhere he said, a skilled fighter, right? A skilled fighter on the battlefield is not only thinking about offensive, right? How can I knock out my enemies but also have to think the defensive tactics, isn't it? Because I need to protect myself. I cannot get killed. So they have to think in two ways, isn't it? How can I take offensive? How can I take defensive? So like that, as a practitioner, so we have to think about, right? How much can I practice? What health conditions I need to take care of myself? How much can I push? And how much I have to be very careful, right? So this, I think, are all individual-based things. So of course, health is a priority. Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe, for your kindness and providing us these precious teachings. Thank you, Geshe. My question is in regards, you mentioned three types of laziness. Is it also considered to be lazy in terms of having a negative self-outlook in terms of, I'll never get realization of direct emptiness. It's too complicated. It's so many different things, or there's too many Yamataka arms. I don't know the meaning of each one. So I'll never be able to do that. Is that also considered a form of laziness?
Yeah. Quran gi da king gi control ya da jik sungje de substina bu de toji shishuro je sa ge. Dene Quran kan de shue di da tang tang de ya lelo number sum ge nguji che ro ge. Ane pena jik so so samlo ro ge. Ji ta nge de yongsa mare ro ge nyamlen ro ge. Pena da jik ha de skum la de le xie jia mang go xi bi xi de da ku je de samlo dan ro yang ko rem de ro wa. 하더니 시자 망고 시비스도 아니 딘데다 라방에 검투사 말하러와게 딘데 소소 딘데 삼로다네 아니 직출이야 길로에저와게 네 레레 콘도를 배사 소소에 전사 말에 하디데 망고 착세 망고 유에되는데도 검내 용해 거를 레미도와게 아디 레레 콘도 착을 배사
오레레 쇼빌레로서 저 당에 종머서 들어 쇼빌 승주셔 뭐와 차바들어
예, 다들 준비 레로디디 레로 숨고 나라탄도 쓰고요 말을 쓰고요 그러게.
쓰고요. 준비 레로 그는 누가 준비 레로.
아니 다들 숨데 나를 준비 레로 믿어가. 다들 개념레 레로 저와 차왕 예신 레로 저와게. 아니 길로 레로로 봐. 디 나를 준비 레로 생각 좀.
준비 레로 해야 되는 거 말이야.
야, 잠다 시지기도 시대다. 가장 집중해서 하게. 디 길로 레로 공도를 써야 되게.
길로 버스는 들어가서 길로 해야 돼 말이야.
네 산이 저 원앙이 저
어디 치시셔야 돼 비디 가이제 치시셔야 성인이 나이셔야 치유로서 기루셔야 치대셔야 뽑아셔야 되라 쇼빌로셔야 되다 다들 기루빌로서 지고 있는 거
알아 념레기를 지고 서로 yeah Geshe says as a matter of fact yes that is regardless as a form of laziness where we feel that I can't do this much practice, or like if we are visualizing a deity with so many arms and implements, like, oh my God, this is not going to work, right? It is part of laziness. Actually, as I said, in the three laziness we mentioned, right? Sometimes depending on the classification, I think we talked about this the other day, that there is something called laziness of, what we call shumba means discouragement, self-degradation, right? No, I can, I don't know, like that laziness, so that is a form of laziness, actually, yeah. Any other questions? Of behind the glass wall? Anyone? No? Okay, nobody? Are there anything on there? No? Okay. We have time, so if anybody likes to ask a question, I don't want to rush you.
Thank you, Geshe, for your kindness and giving the precious teachings. My question, I try to make it brief. It is related to the previous chapter 5 on guarding alertness. In this, the first section, number 1, it says those who wish to guard their practice should very attentive guard their mind. Those who do not guard their mind will be unable to guard their practice. And the verse 108, saying the defining characteristic of guarding alertness in brief is only this: to examine again and again the condition of my body and mind.
What verse is that?
It's the verse 107.
Oh, 107. Yeah. Okay. I'm listening.
So how do we relate it, regarding my alertness to the practice enthusiastic.
Okay, yeah, okay. The condition this is the Tangbo King is Sungju the concept Saka so the Pendoship to touch and assure Jessica Rawage. The condition the Dirisha Kazanganzo Dirwakin and the Shishin Rawage.
La.
Shishin Liu Yawage.
Oh, yeah.
Shishin Liu, Shishin Tango Dinalia did working Kaso that. So Yamlin Ching in the same Sungures Rawage. And it's the same Masumba Yena and Yamlin Sungtoya Marsach Rawage. Diche Rawage. And then Dine Karso di Tanda Liu Tagana Rawage. And then this you said 107, right? Stanza, yeah. So Dine songs are any yeah, for just like treasure, so combine all ya kisi can so ki Kasora Tango and Nubu Rigros Nebina Rawage, Kato Shibungo Rawage. Combine all ya so solia that Kasora Tasha was Nebina Rawage, Kato Shibungo Rawage, Tapu Dination Chene, and when a socially charge again the in a social change something Yamlan Rawage. And a board doing it is in the Kazocha or rest again. That the or did need the Rawatan, Tandakin, or the Jundu Luson de Rawage. Did a Jundu Badulia, Dawakari, did Java Yorvest, some of the Tangaja, the Shishin and Sumba did that. Jundu Yamlan did the Dawar Yorvest.
Juju Yamlanda.
Tanda Jundu Yamla, like Shishin Lun or Suna Rawage. Same Suna mother, Yamlan Sundung Maras Rawag. Same also Yamlan Sundu says Rawag. Tagana sort of charge against you in the Chanju same. Yeah, Bogdan Chigo did a cover check or mother Tangu almost Lavage. Did that under Junju Chigo Rage. Deeper at Devar Chior Vessel. Station la share the Junju Gilu, the Barula, Yamlen, and Java check of Maris.
Ale, Jawadi, Jikbata, Goju was pretty short, Jibashaw, Jibashaw, Zero. No, so Jibashaw. And you can just decision about the same Suna and Ekals or Masonet. That she didn't the negative. Yamlen says, and Luadi go same Jedon Radio. Two the same rally, the Samsung is no. Samsung Zoo, the Yamlen says Samsung is. Samsung is then so send the Karchik to Karchik to Taxi Shadira. To the Shah had a chicken, tell you to you mean the Parmesan door. Really? Yeah, so I was trying to make sure that Gisela understood the question we're asking. Gisela said, of course, there is a connection, right? Things are explained in different chapters. For example, this opening stanza of chapter 5 on guarding alertness. I call it introspection. It reads, those who wish to guard their practice should very attentively guard their mind, for those who do not guard their minds will be unable to guard their practice, right? And then the stanza 107 reads, therefore, just like treasure appearing in my house without any effort on my part to obtain it, I should be happy to have an enemy, for he assists me in my conduct of awakening. So these are all related, because if we are alert or we have the introspection, right? And then we are not going to waste our time, isn't it? So because we said life is very precious and I have to, in the practice, what's important is guarding our mind, isn't it? So alertness will prevent laziness from arising. And then it really helps us, to cultivate joyful effort. So there is a, connection there, Any other questions? Anything on the Zoom now? Okay, if not, is that okay? I don't want to rush here, okay? So if anybody has questions, we still have time. If not, we can do the prayers. Okay, so let's do the prayer request. Send Karen daily Shartse
망고 싶이 밑에론 두고도 와게.
네.
어떻게 참아되긴 통만 좀 나눠. So we have two prayer requests for deceased individuals, Phung Nguyen and Karen Daly. But we also know that in the Middle East, a lot of people on both sides have become victims of the war, and thousands of people have lost lives, and tens of thousands are suffering. So we want to think about them as we pray for the deceased and for those who need healing. So first we will do Buddha of Compassion mantra, and then second we will do the Medicine Buddha mantra. Okay, and then do the dedications. Chadong Polu Jewe, Yewo Dong, Jendong, Yewa Sangbe, Sangye Dong, Kangla Kandu, Dela, Dedum, Jumba, Chenre, Sela, Chanze, de Omani, Peme, Hong, Omani, Peme, Hong, Peme, Omani, Peme, Hong, Omani, Peme, Omani, Peme, Omani, Peme, Peme. Omani beme omani. Omani beme hori gewa diye yodo da chere sewan rujo rawa cheja diye sala gwembara sho toje kwala nyombe chomden de zendang tebe ngendu dongye 都说那个商界面积了，民族也有这样子的，对他我们别下一节嘛，别下一节，这什么个都说。Om Namo Bhagavate Vesara Dhammara Tadavada Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Teta Om Besha Besha Ma Besha Raja Samangade So Gewan Deye Nyudo Da Membe Gewo Rubjo Ne Dowa Chejang Deye Salam Gambara Show page 3 Lord Jazz, Udo, Begaji, Gazan, Pove, Chido, Member, Temba, Zilla, Wando, Teacher, Tanya, Chogun, Chola, so the page 5. Ma Wang Dame, Wenjian, Donga, De, Kari, Jonzo, Nienda, Senza, Zhangren, Kawa, Niwa, Yapse, 张说天津马北西巴子天津这边英国这边世界内国长久电对所龙岛汤局这边北域六家家族更多下边说带上广大接着准备用着有的多边两个县容易在建那边变得 都电康里大部下边说罗纳后面这把他们的 电当周围偏见中外些本州居民西北天电上对接电路小电说机制方面土界流浪电上对接电当上面都着重土著制度中其他面边中国人都说 page 9 Ramjan Shinge, Gombo, Zeba, Men, Zodo, Namje, Jeyong, Zhema, Sho, Chozo, Zeye, Lazo, Namje, Dade, Mishe, Choge, Wojo, Tubde, Jeda, Losan, Jawa, Shedo, Tenban, Zembe, Beyun, Tade, Deja, Jongge, Shen, Yangzhe, Ninje, Ongbo, Sewande, Jiden, Zonggen, Chana, Beme, 天边早晚说说他罗也，南大吹天没阳大啊，路上见天别问，下边说对着家姐阳北，上着南着上前准备着，公着西拉送着的，天边马大前部下边说，这边东望国王国着，这边地方四月蹦蚱去，这边天天那些当家。 贴住新年全部小人说，改变朗读故事这道节，准备查查念说等。上边对着捐给一些路，送的新年全部小人。台上落了这位认得的民主大队上面事情。拉近最近天主别小辈，昨天青年全部小人。学生要我世界勤劳的，昨天当今聪明起来，大家马上答辩，其他面别定个轮着说，抢着生着人不接，马街帮那解决，结我娘吧没吧，公的工作别我来说。东尼大瓦人不接，马街帮那解决。给我娘吧，没吧样，过年过别我说啥些这些这些没到咱们这个零些年的年吧，上届人都没得给我也这个。这我说抗日让为过来新港的碰到的我马路中为。现在谁往电信叫做小白谁的报道等于这一档过着让他们的那样的呀没 last speech 给我滚到样的老妈的对面确实别了龙居找到人家原点让做逻辑强烈过把牛多肉